Welcome to this week's Energy Series video. We are Peyton, Corey, and myself, Yaila. This week we are talking about healing burnout. I think we've all been there. You might be there right now yourself. We discuss various things connected to your intuition, learning about energy, and how to work with energy in your own space and the world around you. So if you like these topics or any others similar to that, be sure to like and follow each of our pages so you don't miss a weekly video that we post. So talking about healing burnout, let's start with you, Corey.
Well, hello. Oh boy, burnout. Well, you know what? It was a process for me, I have to tell you, because I've just always gone go 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 go, and until I crash, until I started this spiritual journey, and and you start to feel the energies. I mean, I always felt the energies. I just didn't know what I was feeling, and so it would just charge me up. And I would just like run faster, go faster. I can only do that for so long. So burnout, one of the things that, I've learned personally for myself in the spiritual journey is that it is okay to take a rest, to step back, to replenish yourself. That was huge for me. And I learned that as I went through my spiritual journey and I got to know myself even better, that I was really abusing myself and my body. And in old beliefs of it's not okay to rest, work harder, do more. And when I started the spiritual journey, I started to get to know myself better and to get rid of old beliefs, actually. Old beliefs that, it's okay to rest if you're tired. What a concept. So, burnout has been a big topic lately for a lot of my clients and friends and students because the energies are ramping up. They're stronger now than they've ever been on our planet. And so, how do you deal with burnout? I was just talking to the ladies about how when we started doing all these videos, we were just pumping them out. We're like, do more, do more. And we all hit burnout. And at some point in time, we said, it's okay if we take some time off. What a concept. But that we learn to take care of ourselves and learn to honor our feelings and honor our bodies. And the spiritual journey teaches you about your body and what it feels and what it needs. So, what I do, and I also recommend for clients and students, is take time out. It's okay to take a day off. It's okay to stop. It's okay to take a nap. Because when we nap, we get to replenish our bodies. And one of the things that I love to do with burnout is take an Epsom salt bath. That self-care is so important. I did not put self-care, and a lot of my clients, it's amazing how, at least here in the United States, we don't know much about self-care. We just work and work and work and work, burnout, 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 and then we get a form of disease. So another thing to deal with burnout is to eat more healthy, more vegetables, more fruits. A lot of times burnout comes from eating things that aren't good for you. Junk food, processed food. I've learned as of recently that that speeds up the burnout process. So these are the things that I look at and I talk to my clients and students about because it's essential. I've learned in these years of doing this work that self-care is essential. So we get into the spiritual journey, and we do feel a lot better. And because doing energy work, whether it's healing or our own energy work, it takes a lot out of you. And we think that, at least for me, I thought, oh, you know, I'm not on my feet for 16 hours a day. But it taxes you even more. So burnout also happens when you're not listening to yourself. So when I have a client that says, I'm just burnt out, I talk to them about, well, what is your body telling you? What is your mind telling you? Not the old beliefs of complaining, but how are you feeling? I was afraid to death to feel. Oh my gosh, because I had to shut off my feelings to survive. Because I was brought up, you don't get an opinion, oh no, those are no, they're not. You just keep going, keep going. And over these several years, well, more than several years, but I've learned that burnout, but burnout is your body telling you it's time to rest. So Epsom salt baths. Find somebody who can do an energy healing on you. That's always helped me so much. And that's why my clients come to me, because they need energy work done. Or that could be theta healing. Get in the water, whether it's a jacuzzi or if it's the summertime or weather permitting, go in the ocean. That helps with burnout so much. And music. When I got burnout and my clients get burnout, I suggest music, just soothing music, because when you're burnout, your vibration is low. And to get some music or crystal bowls, I can be really tired and I'll run the crystal bowl and it energizes me. But burnout is something to really pay attention to. So what have you got? Who's next? Peyton.
Thanks, Corey. Yeah, I love what you said about being in touch with your body. That is one of the, I think, most important things about recovering from burnout. But the whole topic of burnout is so perfect for what is going on in our world right now. And this is a topic that is so near and dear to my heart, because it was burnout that turned my entire life around and put me on a new path entirely. And I've told this story in some of our earlier videos, but a few years ago, I was practicing as a lawyer and I was traveling all the time and I was working around the clock, and I burned out in every sense of the word, just emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. It was like I hit a wall. But the thing was, I didn't know how to do something about it. What do you do when you just hit that wall and everything you have steered your life toward starts to feel wrong? So this is something we're seeing in, all three of us are seeing it in our clients right now. We're seeing it in our collective, that people are burning out in careers. We're just realizing that our souls don't want to work 80 hours a week. It's just not what we want to do as humans. But so many of us, especially if we have been in a more traditional mainstream career, that's what we have been trained to do. Like Corey said, work harder, do more, suck it up. So that is why we are experiencing such huge collective burnout right now. So I'm so glad that we are talking about this. So for me, once I hit that wall, I had to change, but I didn't know how to go about it. And that is what actually led me to what the three of us talk about all the time, to energy work, because I had to reach outside my normal frame of reference to turn this situation around. And so for me now, so many of my clients are experiencing this burnout. And so the way that I have found has worked best for me to work through burnout is kind of two things have to happen. And so, first thing for me, which Corey mentioned, is the healing aspect of it. Because by the time you are feeling burned out, by the time you resonate with that word, you have so much resistance in your energy field, so much trauma that has come to the surface to be cleared, so much judgment about where you are and how it doesn't feel good anymore. You are just sitting in a dirty sink of resistance and negative emotions. And so, one of the most important things I think to move through burnout is healing work. And there are so many amazing modalities out there, so many forms of energy healing. And we've talked about a lot of those on our videos, but finding a modality that resonates with you is the most important thing to just start your healing journey. Because I found the healing journey is not a quick fix. So it's something that you're going to want to play around with and experiment with. So my advice to my clients is always to try different modalities, anything you think you might be interested in, until you find that one that's perfect for you. Because what is perfect for you might be a combination of different techniques. So the healing is so important because we have to be able to start moving that resistance out of our energy field. So all those emotions you're sitting in need to be healed and integrated. And so energy work is a great way, whether you are learning to do healing yourself, to do Reiki or theta healing or whatever modality calls to you, or whether you just go and have people work on you. But the healing part of it is, I think, one of two necessary steps to really healing burnout. But then the second step for me is we have to change our direction. So we can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. And so for me, the next step was always to move in a better direction. Because for me, burnout was a sign that I was not in alignment with my soul, that I was not moving in a direction that was my authentic self. And so the universe reflected back to me a really bad feeling situation to show me that I might want to rethink my direction. And so one thing that we have to think about if we're moving through burnout is how can we move in a more authentic direction? And an easy way to do this is figure out what nurtures you. Because when we're burned out, we're drained. We're doing things that suck our energy rather than replace it. And I've always loved that quotation that working hard at something you hate is stress, but working hard for something you love is called passion. And so this is what we're kind of smacked in the face with when we burn out. We have been working too hard at something that doesn't nourish us. It doesn't replenish us. It just drains our energy. So how do you do that? Because that was one thing that I had no idea how to move toward. I didn't know what was authentic for me. All I had ever known was how to be a lawyer. That's all I had ever practiced or been taught. So trying to figure out how to move in a new direction is a question that comes up for a lot of my clients because we just don't know, like, what do you move toward? And so what my guides always encourage people to do, follow your excitement, because your excitement and your passion is how your higher self talks to you. And so your higher self will give you little breadcrumbs to nudge you back onto your soul's path. So if you just figure out what excites you, what makes you just lose time because you've forgotten that you're doing it, whether that is, a hobby, whether that is something you've always wanted to do or study, what is your passion? And starting to move in that direction will start to give you energy instead of suck your energy. And so part of moving through burnout is choosing a new direction. And following your excitement for me has always been the best way because we don't always know what our soul wants to do, but your higher self will give you clues. But then the other thing for me that's really important when we're talking about healing burnout, it could be that you are actually on your right path and you're doing something that you love, something that feeds your soul, but you're still feeling drained or a little burned out. And a lot of times it's good to examine your boundaries. And we've talked about this in one of our earlier videos, but are you doing what you love, but are you doing it in a way that you're not holding good boundaries? Are you putting everyone else in front of you? Are you doing it too much so that you're just wearing your physical body down? So examining your boundaries can be helpful if you feel like you are on your path, but you're still feeling worn down by it. So for me, those are some of the things that if you're doing both of those things, you're healing and you're moving in the direction that excites you. Those are two of the best ways to move through the burnout experience. So, Yaila, how do you help people through burnout?
Thank you, Peyton. Thank you, ladies. So very similar to both of you, obviously coming into the energy work started because I was also burnt out. It's such a typical energy. What I find with burnout, and it's similar to what you both touched on, is you're either going down a path that's no longer in alignment for you, or you're going at a pace that's too much for you. So, like Peyton and Corey are saying, you're not getting filled up, you're not having the time for yourself, or you're completely going in a direction that's no longer where your soul truly wants to go. My story on burnout, I was actually a health coach at the time working for a company. And my background was nutrition, health. I was very aware of how foods and exercise and stress and sleep and all the stuff combined make you feel better. And I was working with people on how to create healthier practices in their own life around health coaching. But I found for myself, even though something I had worked years to get into, absolutely loved, had had a passion about preventative medicine since I was 10 years old, believe it or not. I was finally doing it for a company. I was working with 15 to 20 people a day. So it was like back-to-back phone calls. And that's before I knew energy work. It led me to complete burnout, meaning I would go home from work. I was so depleted. Sometimes I didn't even have energy to eat food. I mean, I was just out, down for the count on the weekends. I didn't have time to see people I cared about. My relationships tanked. My own relationship with myself tanked because I didn't have time to look for myself. Like, what do I need today? Like, I didn't even have the energy to even assess that. Thank goodness I found the energy work. I feel like when you are ready and you're open to, I just need help, like you kind of surrender to whatever I've been doing isn't working, and you just open up and you surrender to asking for help. The universe will deliver it in different ways, whether it's through different people, different classes, job change and situation. This is many times when people tend to see a shift in their work, whether they lose their job, the job structure changes. There's things that tend to happen outside of their control. And it's always, I'm such a firm believer that the universe always has your back. It's always happening for your highest good. So healing burnout, what I find in my own journey that I had to learn and how I help students and clients, it's identifying, very similar to what Peyton was saying. It's looking at, are you on a path that you feel excited about? Are you getting filled in, or are you constantly giving with nothing in return? And money, I feel like many people kind of get stuck in this loop of, well, I need to pay my bills. And there is this, reality that we live in. We have to have some kind of shelter, eat. Many times it's being able to, drive a car, to have certain levels of freedom. There are certain obligations that we just need money for. So you can't just quit your job, which I did twice. I don't recommend it because it also caused some burnout in my journey. But you want to look at the money. Yes, it's giving you some substance that is of value in your life. However, if you are not getting filled up in any other way, shape, or form, something needs to change. If you are not being replenished in any way, shape, or form by the output that you're giving beyond money, yes, that's a given, but your life is more than just things that you can buy. Yes, it's a necessary thing, but I remember when I was in my burnout, the biggest shift that I made was just coming to realization of, this is not what life is supposed to be like. I am not supposed to just get up, grind my ass for 12 hours a day, not be able to socialize with anybody, sleep, and just make barely enough money to sort of pay my bills. Like, to me, that wasn't living. I'm like, I know I am not here just for that. And so when I started just kind of grinding my heels. I'm a stubborn person. So I just started getting really stubborn about that. Like, okay, this is not just what life is about. I know there's more than this. And I started getting curious about what are those other things that would really fill me up. And I had a career that was giving back to other people. My clients were seeing a lot of success and weight loss, and it was great, but I was still burnt out. So there was a piece of me that knew I needed more. And what my discovery was, even though I was doing things of service for other people, which I felt personally called to do, that did use it, it excited me to some level. My burnout came because I was operating on somebody else's schedule that did not align to mine. And so I started opening up conversations with first my management as far as options on my schedule. There was, they actually let me put in more breaks because I was averaging like a really high number of clients per day compared to my coworkers. So I was able to negotiate in more breaks. I started looking at holidays where I could take my days off around a holiday. So I'd have more extended times off versus just only 2 weeks a year. So I started looking at ways I could negotiate more of my own time while I was determining what I could be doing differently. I also invested time in myself, and I really protected my time for myself as very, very sacred. So, like the ladies were talking about, putting up those boundaries. My boundary, first and foremost, was around my time and my output of energy. And so I just started telling friends around me, like, listen, I would love to go to that thing, but let me touch base with you when we get closer to that event. I'm sorry if you need, a head count. If you have to have that today, then I'm going to have to say no. But if I can let you know closer to that time frame, I'll let you know, just because I may not have the energy for it. I just started protecting my time around how I was interacting with people in different situations. And it was a non-negotiable. And my time was every single day. And I always say, from my coaching background, is start where you are. If you can only allot yourself 30 minutes a day where it's just about you, start there and build up to what feels more imbalanced for what you really, really need. I started learning how to say no. That was also a really big one. The obligation is a big energy that gets put into our space because we feel obligated to run at this certain level that maybe works for everybody else or appears to work for everybody else. So I just started throwing out anywhere I felt obligated to operate on anybody else's time schedule, outside of my already like work commitments, right? Like my hours were my hours in the beginning. And then from there, I started transitioning to doing things that filled me up. And that was the energy work. Learning about energy, learning how to clear my energy, protect my space was the go-to thing. And so if you don't learn anything else other than learning how to clear your energy and protect your energy, Corey, Peyton, and myself all have resources on our different websites where you can find that information. Learn how to clear and protect your energy. At least learn that basic thing, and that will change healing yourself from burnout. The second thing was, after learning how to give back to myself, or maybe I should say the third thing. So it was like protecting my schedule, giving back to myself. And then the third thing was taking baby steps, like doable baby steps into the direction that felt more in alignment for me. And that progressed into, my story was starting to teach classes. Beyond just taking classes, I started taking personal clients on the side, to where I felt I reached a point where I could do this on my own. And I didn't want to just rely on a company for a 9-to-5 job. And I started looking for other ways, other sources of income that I could sustain more realistically. And that's kind of where I'm at currently, where majority of my day is set up around what works for me energy wise. I have a flexible schedule where I don't have to rush hour traffic sucked the life out of my soul. That was like a non-negotiable for me after my schedule's like, I don't want to drive in rush hour traffic. I want to be able to create my own schedule. Obviously, I wanted a certain amount of income. And then I wanted to be able to be of service and give back. And so those were my key things. The tiny little things I would add into that, and Corey touched on this too, was doing those things that really nurture my body. So when I feel like I am coming to those burnout moments, because it kind of ebbs and flows energy wise for everyone. Your learning energies can feel different at different months. So just know what worked last month may not work this month, or what worked last week may not work this week. But I put enough flexibility in my schedule where I could rest when my body needed rest. I realized my body just needs more rest than I think majority of my peers or other people I've grown up around. So really giving myself that allowance to rest. And when I gave myself a chance to kind of rest and regroup, I actually had more energy and I was more productive in those non-rest times. So I saw a bigger benefit. I also get out in nature, beyond just eating healthier foods and trying to get sleep. Being out in nature for me is extremely healing. And I find that for many people. So whatever that go-to place is for you, being in nature, turning off your phone, turning off those things where your energy is being pulled away from you, Mother Nature replenishes you. There's zero obligation that you have to Mother Nature other than just being. And the energy from the earth, from the plants, from the air, from the sunshine, even the rain, all it does is give you energy back. So if you can get in touch with nature, even if you're not used to that, start small. Those baby steps start to accumulate and start to really build momentum for yourself. And I think for a lot of us, when we're in burnout, we want to go from 0 to 60 right away. We're just so uncomfortable. We're just like, I just want to quit. I just want to change it all. But then, we have to take some steps to kind of set ourselves up for success. So I always say, start small, start realistic, and look at those places. And I love what Peyton was saying as far as and Corey, check and see what your body is telling you. Your mind will say a lot of things to you. Your body never lies. Your body will tell you what feels light, what feels exciting, what gives you energy, what kind of gives you momentum versus what makes you feel tired, what makes you feel drained, what makes you feel tight and constricted and closed down. Those things, as far as what your body is showing you, always lets you know what path is in alignment for you or not. So ladies, do you have anything else you want to add to burnout?
Well, there's one thing that I would add, which is very similar to what you were just talking about, Yaila. One of the big sources for me of burnout was obligation. So one thing that I always have my clients do is take a look at your schedule and identify all those things that feel like obligations. And then ask yourself, do you actually have to do them? I mean, sometimes we just do, there are things that we have to do. But a lot of times, I would say about 80% of the time, my clients find that they're saying yes to things they know drain them just out of this sense of obligation. So obligation is a huge energy we're confronting right now. And the more you can just extricate yourself from anything that drains your energy that's not mandatory, can go a long way to giving you back time to spend doing things that, as we were saying, give you energy, nurture you, make you feel good, because you'd be surprised how much we are on autopilot as a society, doing things because other people expect us to, or we think they expect us to. And the funniest thing happens when you start saying no, you realize no one cared. It was all self-imposed. It was all in your head. So for me, looking to see where you are obligating yourself to things that drain you, because we do so much of this without realizing it. So I would add that one last thing to help you reduce your burnout.
Absolutely. Obligation. That one's been coming in so much lately in the different energy updates. It's like, where are you operating out of obligation? Because that's a big one. And the last little thing I'll add in is for many of us, and we've kind of been taught this in our society, especially in the United States, your worth, for many of us believe, is based on what we do. And it's who you're being. It's not just about what you do. Sure, that adds an element to it, but it's also your beingness. If you don't have your own vitality, it doesn't matter how much you're pushing, there's a resistance there because your full essence isn't even part of the equation. So you're going to be working a lot harder. So if you act out of your beingness, you're going to be working a lot smarter. So thank you so much. Corey, you want to add anything? You're good. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this week's topic on healing burnout. We hope this was helpful for you. If it was, we appreciate your likes, your shares, your comments, saves. It definitely helps us bring this information to more people who could find it useful. We will see you next week for another topic. And don't forget to check out our other videos we have posted. See you next time.